Multiple investigations uncovering a history of scandal in some of the country's most elite private schools. Alleged sexual indiscretions between students and teachers. We know now that it's been a pervasive issue for decades. And thanks to a few brave graduates telling their stories, it is finally out of the shadows. Here's ABC's Deborah Roberts.
Numbing myself is really how I coped with it.
For decades, they've held painful secrets.
He would invite me to come down after lights out to his room.
The school didn't do anything to protect me. The school punished me, and I was the teenager.
You know, we share this culture of silence.
Their stories, a glimpse into a shocking pattern of sexual abuse at a number of the nation's most elite boarding schools, where tuitions can top $40,000 a year.
Many of the cases we looked at had been hushed up for years.
Jonathan Saltzman's a reporter with the Boston Globe's Spotlight team. Their investigation uncovering rampant sexual misconduct that many times went unreported to protect a school's reputation.
We found that more than 110 private schools in New England had grappled with these allegations that surfaced over the past 25 years. And I suspect we only touched the tip of the iceberg.
It's prompting schools to confront their demons. Just this week, an independent report released by the prestigious St. Paul's School in New Hampshire, exposing allegations of sexual misconduct spanning decades. Many victims remain anonymous, but a few are coming out of the shadows, realizing they are not alone.
I was silent about it. The school was silent about it. Other students were silent about it.
When Cheyenne Montgomery read the Boston Globe report, she was brought back to 1989. She was just 15 when she started at Choate Rosemary Hall, one of the country's most prestigious boarding schools, with an impressive alumni list that includes President John F. Kennedy, Oscar winner Michael Douglas, and first daughter Ivanka Trump.
I was a scholarship student as a 10th grader, and it was really just a huge dream come true.
As a teen from small-town Vermont, Cheyenne saw it as a chance to escape a difficult childhood.
I was pretty desperate to get out and shed that past. So it was a chance to turn the page and be something different.
But soon, her hopes for high school took her down a traumatic path when she says she became romantically involved with her math teacher.
It was after my 16th birthday that there started being touching and hand-holding and kissing, and there were times towards the end of the year where he actually took me out of the dorm at night to kiss.
That teacher was 27-year-old Angus Mars. When he took an interest in her, she welcomed it.
He was young and personable, outgoing. He paid a lot of attention to me, and that was flattering.
He was married and also her dorm advisor.
He was constantly there. So with a dorm advisor, you live in a dorm. They're there in the morning when you get up, and they're there in the evening when you go to bed.
They're supposed to look out for you.
They're supposed to look out for you.
You said that he began to touch you more, you began to leave and you would kiss. At some point, the relationship became sexual.
Yes.
Your first sexual relationship.
Yes.
Just after Cheyenne's sophomore year, Mars moved to Seattle. But she says the relationship continued through cross-country flights and letters like these, which Cheyenne says shows Mars writing, "It scares me sometimes to realize how unable I am to do the right thing when you're involved. You've taken me over. I love you."
How did he excuse the fact that he's your teacher and that you're 16?
I don't know how he excused that to himself. My reaction to it then was I worked really, really hard not to remind him that I was 16. I was trying very, very hard to be the person I thought he wanted me to.
Cheyenne says their secret romance went on for close to 2 years before it ended. And throughout, she was consumed by fear and shame.
I felt like I was the one that had done something bad.
You felt you were the one at fault?
Yeah.
As her senior year got underway, Cheyenne says she confided in her 46-year-old French teacher, Bjorn Runquist. Like Mars, he was married and also her dorm advisor.
So again, there was too much personal sharing, and I don't know, he kissed me in his apartment, and I felt, again, like I was in love. This person was paying attention to me. I was special.
She says the new relationship lasted only a few months before a Choate faculty member spotted them and reported Runquist to the school administration.
He, admitted to an emotional relationship, but not a physical relationship. They took him at his word, and they said, well, you can finish out the year.
He got a recommendation from the school.
He did.
Runquist went on to teach at Connecticut's Kent School until he retired in 2013.
I always felt like this was my fault.
You're blaming yourself, even though you're the child.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like how my identity was put together, was like I'm just kind of this thing to be used. Like that's how I get love, that's how I function in the world.
Marcy Hamilton is a lawyer and child advocate.
The schools are required by law to be the parents of the children while they're on campus, for protecting them to the degree that a parent would. And of course, many don't fulfill that obligation.
Cheyenne tells us she kept her secrets buried for decades.
I was very depressed. I couldn't, for the first time, really figure out what the point of anything was.
But last year, Cheyenne finally confronted Choate about what she says happened when she was a student there, sharing her story with the Boston Globe.
So I was like, I hope Bjorn Rundquist and Angus Mars are really worried. And I said that to myself, and then I was like, well, why would they be worried? And then I realized I was the only person that could blow the whistle on them.
Cheyenne also sharing her story on a Choate alumni Facebook page.
I'm breaking my silence now, and I'm breaking Choate's silence too. I'm doing this with the hope that my story might help prevent this from happening to others.
She says Bjorn Rundquist, whom she'd barely spoken to in decades, saw the post and privately messaged her on Facebook. I am so sad to see what happened between us caused you such pain. I fell in love, desperately in love. Nothing like that has ever happened to me before or since. Please find it in your heart to forgive me, for it was ultimately my responsibility. The Boston Globe published Cheyenne's story on October 1st, 2016. 9 days later, Choate launched an independent investigation. The result, this 50-page report exposing more than 50 years of alleged abuse at Choate, including allegations of rape, molestation, and inappropriate relationships. In many cases, the school writing letters of recommendation, passing the teachers off to other schools. 12 are singled out by name, including Angus Mars and Bjorn Rundquist.
That's a pretty striking thing to do because none of them were criminally charged. In almost all the cases, Choate failed to even report it to child welfare authorities.
Rundquist's attorney telling ABC News, Mr. Rundquist has denied and continues to deny any sexual misconduct with any student while a member of the Choate faculty. Angus Mars declined to comment.
To read over and over again that these things weren't reported, to read over and over again that the school's reputation was put ahead of the safety of children, it just makes me sick.
For those parents who have children and they're considering a boarding school, you need to do a lot more due diligence than to find out where that school ranks and whether it gets your child into Harvard.
In a letter to the Choate community, the chairman of the Board of Trustees and the current headmaster apologized, writing, "We honor and thank the survivors of sexual misconduct who came forward," specifically thanking Cheyenne, adding, "Ms. Montgomery's courage to come forward caused Choate to pursue a re-examination of its past and confront an extraordinarily painful subject."
In a strange way, really proud of them for putting it out there, because they didn't have to do that.
Today, Cheyenne's a teacher herself, living in Oregon with her wife and 3 children. She hopes that more schools will confront the past and take accountability.
I think that's what every school needs to do in order for this to start changing.
For Nightline, I'm Deborah Roberts in New York.